What if I told you that living inside your body right now, at this very moment, there are microscopic warriors, billions of them, that have the power to seek out cancer cells and destroy them before you ever feel a single symptom? What if the most powerful medicine ever discovered is not sitting in a pharmacy, not locked inside an expensive laboratory, not hidden behind a doctor's prescription pad, but is actually sitting on your dinner plate waiting for you to eat it tonight? What if everything you were taught about fighting cancer, about protecting your body, about healing your gut, was only half the story, and the other half, the more powerful half, the half that pharmaceutical companies never talk about, lives inside your own digestive system? Science has now confirmed what ancient healers suspected for thousands of years. Your gut is not just a digestion machine, it is a living, breathing, cancer fighting ecosystem. And right now, depending on what you had for breakfast this morning, that ecosystem is either building your defense or dismantling it. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear in the next few minutes could genuinely change the entire direction of your health, your life, and the lives of every person you love. Do not move. This is the most important conversation you will ever have about what goes on your fork. What if the cure that humanity has been desperately searching for, spending hundreds of billions of dollars trying to discover inside sterile laboratories and clinical trials? What if that cure has been growing inside your body all along, waiting patiently for you to simply feed it correctly? That question is not poetic. That question is not philosophical. That question is now backed by hard, peer-reviewed, published science that is rewriting everything we thought we understood about cancer, immunity, and the extraordinary power of the human gut. Let us begin with a truth that will shake the foundation of everything you believe about your body. Inside your digestive system right now, there exists an entire civilization. Not just bacteria, not just microbes, a fully functioning, communicating, coordinating civilization of approximately 39 trillion living organisms. To give you perspective on that number, your own body contains only about 30 trillion human cells. This means that by sheer numbers, you are more microbe than human. And yet, for most of modern medical history, we treated these organisms as irrelevant passengers, background noise in the story of human health. We were catastrophically wrong. Because these microorganisms, particularly specific families of bacteria living in your gut, are now being identified as some of the most powerful anti-cancer agents ever studied in the history of medicine. They do not just support your health in a general sense. They actively, aggressively, and intelligently hunt cancer cells. They communicate with your immune system. They produce chemicals that trigger cancer cell self-destruction. They build walls that prevent tumors from receiving the blood supply they need to grow. They are, in every biological sense of the word, your internal oncologists. And here is the part that should make every single person watching this feel both inspired and urgently motivated. You have direct control over whether these bacteria thrive or disappear. Every meal you eat is either an investment in this microscopic army or a slow, invisible act of biological self-destruction. Let us talk about what the science actually shows, because this is not speculation and this is not wellness culture talking. This is data. Researchers studying cancer patients who responded remarkably well to immunotherapy, one of the most advanced cancer treatments available today, made a stunning discovery. The patients who responded best, the ones whose bodies fought back against cancer with extraordinary force, all shared one common characteristic that had nothing to do with their genetics, nothing to do with their age, and nothing to do with the specific cancer drug they received. The common characteristic was this: they all had significantly higher diversity and abundance of specific gut bacteria, particularly a bacterium called Akkermansia mucinifila, compared to patients whose cancers did not respond to treatment. Read that again slowly and let it settle into your mind. The bacteria in your gut were predicting and influencing whether immunotherapy would work or fail. Scientists then took this discovery further. They took gut bacteria from patients who responded well to cancer treatment and transferred those bacteria into mice with cancer. Those mice began fighting their tumors more aggressively. Then they took gut bacteria from non-responders and transferred those. The mice showed almost no immune response against the cancer at all. The bacteria were not just passengers, they were the pilots. Now, let us understand exactly how this cancer fighting mechanism works inside your body, because this is where the biology becomes genuinely breathtaking. Your immune system does not operate independently. It does not sit alone in your bloodstream making decisions in isolation. It is in constant, continuous conversation with the bacteria in your gut. Approximately 70 to 80% of your entire immune system is physically located in and around your gut. There are specialized immune cells lining your intestinal walls called GALT, which stands for gut-associated lymphoid tissue, and these cells are in perpetual dialogue with your gut bacteria every single moment of every single day. When the right bacteria are present in the right quantities, they send signals to these immune cells that essentially function as a training program. They teach your immune cells to recognize abnormal cells. They help calibrate the difference between a normal cell and a cancer cell. They increase the production and activity of natural killer cells, which are exactly what they sound like, immune cells specifically designed to identify and destroy cells that have gone rogue, cells that are multiplying without control, cells that are cancerous. But when the wrong bacteria dominate your gut, when diversity collapses and harmful bacterial species take over, a condition scientists call dysbiosis, the entire immune training program breaks down. Your natural killer cells become confused, your inflammatory responses go haywire, and cancer cells, which are extraordinarily clever at hiding from the immune system in the best of circumstances, find it dramatically easier to evade detection, establish themselves, and begin growing. This is not a minor consideration. This is one of the central mechanisms through which cancer gains its foothold in the human body. Now let us talk about butyrate, because if there is one word from today's conversation that I want you to carry with you forever, it is this one. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid produced when specific gut bacteria ferment dietary fiber. It is one of the most studied, most validated, most remarkable molecules ever discovered in human biology. And what it does to cancer cells is nothing short of extraordinary. Butyrate triggers a process called apoptosis in cancer cells. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Every healthy cell in your body is programmed to self-destruct when it becomes damaged, mutated, or otherwise dangerous. Cancer cells, by definition, have found a way to turn off this self-destruct switch. They have learned to ignore the biological signals telling them to die. They survive when they should not. They multiply when they should stop. This is fundamentally what cancer is. Butyrate essentially reaches into cancer cells and forces that self-destruct switch back on. Studies conducted on colorectal cancer cells showed that butyrate not only triggered cancer cell death, but simultaneously protected healthy surrounding cells from damage. It was selectively lethal to the cancer while being protective to normal tissue. In animal studies, higher butyrate production in the gut was directly associated with dramatically lower rates of colon cancer development. And your body produces butyrate through your gut bacteria, specifically bacteria like Faecalibacterium prusnitzi and Roseburia intestinalis, but only when you give them the right fuel, which means dietary fiber, specifically the kinds of fiber found in whole plant foods. This is the moment where everything connects. The food on your plate is the raw material that your gut bacteria use to produce the molecules that fight cancer in your body. You are not just eating for calories. You are not just eating for energy. You are literally manufacturing anti-cancer medicine inside your own digestive system with every single meal, provided you are eating the right things. So what are those right things? Let us be specific, because general advice is not what you need. You need precision. First, fermented foods. Kimchi, kefir, yogurt with live active cultures, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, and kombucha are direct deliveries of beneficial bacteria to your gut. A landmark clinical study published in the journal Cell found that eating fermented foods consistently for just 10 weeks significantly increased microbiome diversity and simultaneously decreased markers of inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation, is one of the primary drivers of cancer development. Reducing it is not optional, it is essential. Second, prebiotic foods. These are the foods that feed your beneficial bacteria and allow them to multiply and thrive. Jerusalem artichokes, garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, bananas, especially when slightly underripe, chicory root, and oats are among the most powerful prebiotic foods available. They contain specific types of fiber called inulin and fructooligosaccharides that beneficial gut bacteria consume voraciously, producing butyrate and other protective compounds in the process. Third, polyphenol-rich foods. Polyphenols are plant compounds that act as preferred food sources for some of your most beneficial gut bacteria. Blueberries, pomegranates, dark chocolate, above 70% cacao, green tea, extra virgin olive oil, and red grapes all contain high concentrations of polyphenols. Research has shown that polyphenols from pomegranates, in particular, are converted by gut bacteria into a compound called urolithin A, which has demonstrated significant anti-cancer properties in laboratory studies, particularly against prostate and breast cancer cells. Fourth, cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, and bok choy contain compounds called glucosinolates that are converted by gut bacteria into indole 3-carbinol and sulforaphane, two molecules with powerful documented anti-cancer activity. Sulforaphane has been shown to simultaneously activate cancer cell death pathways while protecting healthy cells, and it does this by working through the gut microbiome. Fifth, legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, and soybeans are among the richest sources of fermentable fiber available in the human food supply. They are essentially premium-grade fuel for your butyrate-producing bacteria. Populations that consume legumes regularly as a dietary staple consistently show dramatically lower rates of colorectal cancer compared to populations consuming primarily processed and animal-based diets. Now let us address the other side of this equation, because knowing what to eat is only half the story. Knowing what is destroying your gut bacteria is equally critical. Processed foods, particularly those containing emulsifiers like carboxymethylcellulose and polysorbate 80, which are found in enormous quantities in packaged snack foods, processed meats, and commercial baked goods, have been shown in research to physically disrupt the mucus layer lining your intestine and wipe out beneficial bacterial populations. Artificial sweeteners, despite containing no calories, alter gut bacterial composition in ways that increase metabolic disease risk. Excess sugar feeds inflammatory bacterial species while starving beneficial ones. And antibiotics, while life-saving when genuinely needed, function essentially as carpet bombing for your gut microbiome, killing beneficial and harmful bacteria indiscriminately and often leaving a vacuum that opportunistic, harmful species rush in to fill. Chronic stress deserves special mention here because its impact on the gut microbiome is frequently underestimated. The gut and brain are connected by the vagus nerve in a relationship so intimate and complex that scientists now call the gut your second brain. When you experience chronic psychological stress, your stress hormones literally alter which bacterial species can survive and thrive in your gut environment. High-stress individuals consistently show lower microbiome diversity. Lower diversity means weaker immune surveillance. Weaker immune surveillance means cancer has a greater opportunity to establish itself undetected. This is why lifestyle cannot be separated from biology when we talk about cancer prevention. Sleep quality, stress management, physical movement, and social connection are not soft wellness concepts. They are direct inputs into the biological machinery of your gut microbiome and therefore direct inputs into your cancer risk. Let us also address the extraordinary emerging science around fasting and the gut microbiome, because this connection is changing clinical practice around the world. Time-restricted eating and periodic fasting create conditions in the gut that strongly favor the growth of beneficial bacterial species while reducing populations of inflammatory, harmful bacteria. During fasting periods, a process called autophagy accelerates, which is your body's cellular cleaning mechanism, essentially a biological recycling system that breaks down damaged cells, including precancerous cells, before they can develop further. Simultaneously, fasting increases the production of a compound called interleukin-18 by gut lining cells, which helps maintain intestinal barrier integrity and supports anti-inflammatory immune responses. Studies in cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy found that those who incorporated some form of dietary restriction showed significantly better treatment outcomes and reduced side effects, findings that researchers attribute in part to favorable changes in the gut microbiome environment. The picture that emerges from all of this science is both humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it reveals how deeply interconnected every system in your body truly is, how a decision made at your kitchen table ripples outward through your gut bacteria, through your immune system, through your inflammation levels, through your cellular DNA repair mechanisms, and ultimately through your cancer risk in ways that medicine is only now beginning to fully map and understand. But it is profoundly empowering because, unlike your genetics, unlike your family history, unlike so many risk factors that exist entirely outside your control, your gut microbiome is something you actively shape every single day. 3 times a day, sometimes more, you are handed a direct opportunity to feed your cancer fighting bacteria or starve them, to build your immune surveillance capacity or weaken it, to produce protective molecules or deprive your body of them. Every plate of food is a decision. Every meal is a message you send to the 39 trillion organisms living inside you, and they respond accordingly with either protection or vulnerability, with either strength or weakness, with either a robust, diverse, cancer fighting ecosystem or a depleted, dysbiotic, inflammation driven one. The science is not asking you to be perfect. It is not asking you to follow a rigid, joyless dietary protocol or to eliminate every food you love from your life permanently. What the science is asking, what the data is showing clearly and repeatedly, is that the consistent, sustained pattern of your dietary choices matters enormously for the composition of your gut microbiome and therefore for your cancer risk. Move toward diversity. Eat a wide rainbow of plant foods, aiming for as many different varieties as possible each week, because microbiome diversity, the single most important marker of a healthy gut, is built through dietary diversity. Include fermented foods regularly. Prioritize fiber above almost every other nutritional consideration. Reduce processed foods not because of a rule, but because of an understanding that those foods are systematically dismantling the microscopic civilization that is working every moment to keep you healthy and cancer-free. You are not powerless in the face of cancer. You are not simply a passive recipient of genetic fate, waiting to see what disease eventually arrives at your door. You are an active participant in the biological story unfolding inside your own body every single day. And that story, increasingly and undeniably, is being written in your gut. What we have explored today represents one of the most important scientific revolutions of our time, the discovery that your gut microbiome is not a supporting character in the story of your health, but the central protagonist in your body's lifelong battle against disease, against cancer, against inflammation, and against premature aging. The 39 trillion organisms living inside you right now are not passive. They are active, intelligent, responsive, and powerful beyond what we ever imagined. They produce anti-cancer molecules, they train your immune system, they trigger cancer cell death, they protect your intestinal walls, they communicate with your brain, your hormones, and your DNA repair systems in ways that science is still working to fully document and understand. And you feed them or you starve them 3 times a day, every single day. Fourth, cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, and bok choy contain compounds called glucosinolates that are converted by gut bacteria into indole-3 carbinol and sulforaphane, 2 molecules with powerful documented anti-cancer activity. Sulforaphane has been shown to simultaneously activate cancer cell death pathways while protecting healthy cells, and it does this by working through the gut microbiome. Fifth, legumes. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, and soybeans are among the richest sources of fermentable fiber available in the human food supply. They are essentially premium grade fuel for your butyrate producing bacteria. Populations that consume legumes regularly as a dietary staple consistently show dramatically lower rates of colorectal cancer compared to populations consuming primarily processed and animal based diets. But it is profoundly empowering because, unlike your genetics, unlike your family history, unlike so many risk factors that exist entirely outside your control, your gut microbiome is something you actively shape every single day. 3 times a day, sometimes more, you are handed a direct opportunity to feed your cancer fighting bacteria or starve them, to build your immune surveillance capacity or weaken it, to produce protective molecules or deprive your body of them. Every plate of food is a decision. Every meal is a message you send to the 39 trillion organisms living inside you, and they respond accordingly, with either protection or vulnerability, with either strength or weakness, with either a robust, diverse, cancer-fighting ecosystem or a depleted, dysbiotic, inflammation-driven one.